Hey yo, what's good? What's going on, everyone, everywhere? Welcome back to another video, man. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe before we even get into this bad boy, okay? All that good stuff the YouTubers say, share the video, etc, etc. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, put on the bell notification, set it to all, because I do giveaways on this channel if you don't know already. And I do a lot of rare items on the giveaway, you know, premium reward boxes, cosmic chroma, and black neon chroma. It don't matter. Like, there's a lot of stuff I've done. You can check out my previous videos to check out some of the stuff that we have done, give away shaded comic, etc. Okay. Make sure you are tuned in and put the bell notification on, because sometimes it is first come first serve. So if you see a notification, just go ahead, pop over just to be sure. Okay. Make sure you share the video out, because when y'all show love, I show love. And in doing so, at 1,000 subs, we will be doing a giveaway of 10 DCUO memberships to the DC Universal Online. It is not platform specific, nor is it server specific. No matter what server or platform you're on, I will go ahead and pay for that membership if you're one of the lucky 10 winners. So, without further ado, let's go hop into this video. So, I want to go ahead and explain this video is about electricity healing. I'm going to cover pretty much everything there is to do electricity healing. Okay, we're going to go over pure healing, EOG spam, a variant of the EOG spam, battle healing, and some other stuff in between. Give y'all a couple combinations to use for heals that work best. What are some effective methods? What should you be thinking about? What are you looking out for? Etc. Okay, this will be a very all-encompassing guide about how to basically electricity heal. We're going to go over the skill point spec, the loadouts, the artifacts, the allies, and even the mods and trinkets. And when we go over the artifacts too, we will be ranking the artifacts for all kinds of builds and just electric healer in general as well. So without further ado, let's go hop into this bad boy. So Affinity Mods is something that I have covered in other videos. If you don't know, you probably are going to find out. But if you do know, you already know what I'm going to say. That kind of makes sense to some of y'all it doesn't. Type A and B are really just for the DPS. The 2% and resto, or 1% resto, 1% power are pretty much going to be your better ways to go. You could get dominance if you want to increase your shield health just a little bit. But for a lot of EOG spam, you're not using a shield anyway, so it's kind of useless there. So you could really go for power, because a lot of EOG spam healers do run out of power depending on the artifacts that they use and the strength of the artifacts. So keep that in mind. If you just want to go all around good, safe compass when it comes to healing, just put in resto for type A and B. Now type C and D are more for support roles. That's why if you look at the vendor, it's definitely catered more towards support roles. We use type C healing conservation, which pretty much after we use a priority heal, we reduce the power cost of our next superpower that we use within 15 seconds. And type D field medic, pretty much when we have full elite gear, it makes an aura around us, healing allies over time, which definitely is helpful in terms of electricity, because electricity's main weak point when it comes to healing is a nice heal over time. So keep those in mind. I recommend if you are going to DPS or are a DPS in any capacity, go ahead and just go for your DPS stats of your main one, might or precision respectively, whatever you want to do. Okay. If not, then just choose restoration as a good safe base. Power is probably what I would prefer to have on this, just because it can help your DPS as well. But restoration is a pretty good safe base. I mean, if you're doing more EOG spam, then you can pick power. Now, in terms of our other mods, I will go ahead and go over them here as well as we can pick them out. Okay. Now, our weapon mod, I generally would recommend for most healers. So pure healing and EOG spam healing, you would go ahead and go replenish adapter. Once again, that power is critical. We need power so we can heal. A lot of people try to pick restorative adapter, but it is not that good. It does heal your group for a very small amount. There's only 3 other people, so it is more of a group-based heal, but it's not anything that you will say saved your life in any capacity. Okay, this is not a good heal like that, so I recommend that you get replenish adapter. At least with this, you have enough power that you get back from it that you can hit one of your own abilities, which is going to heal way more than restorative adapter would. Okay, so replenish adapter would be my #1 pick for overall. You can pick blast adapter if you want to do a little bit more damage, or depending on your build, maybe you're a battle healer or something like that, blast adapter is perfect for you. Now, absorption adapter you could use, but it's a very special case when it's actually usable. That's for us healers at least. Some elite content, depending on what content it is, and nothing recently, but back then I think it was like the God Fracture Sphere or something like that. I saw some healers running this because of how you would use the outside ring with all the tornadoes and whatnot. So it's on you how you want to run it, but this is a very special case scenario to ever use absorption adapter, so more likely you're gonna go with replenishing adapter. Okay, now in terms of our head is mainly going to be dependent on our build. So if you're EOG spam healer, you already know you're going to take one of the movement mode ones, so vacuum bumble / gale, speed drain, or you're just going to go overall, cover your bases and get pheromone bloom. You could come over here and get metabolic boost, or something that I like to use as well, especially in elite content, because it not only heals you but breaks you for free control effects, so you're able to, you know, react to the mechanics of the game. So those are for EOG spam ones. You can metabolic boost, pheromone bloom, speed drain, vacuum bubble / gale. Now if you are doing more pure healing, or even let's say you're nervous and you're using the shield supercharge that electricity have, mind you, it's the best shield in the game, you can go ahead and get group transducer. It is 10%. Let's say if you are the backup or even the main healer and you have an EOG spam healer with you, you can definitely use group transducer on a more regular basis, because the 10% you're getting here, and depending on how you have your artifact stack, you'll definitely build up enough with the EOG spam healer to allow you to use that supercharge more frequently, as if it was back to the 5,000 power cost that it was, or the 50% for those if you like percentages. Okay, so in terms of our neck, let's go over to the neck. Where's that? It's right here. Now, in terms of our neck, you know, most situations we're gonna go ahead and stick with focus restoration, since we are healing. Now, for if you are battle healing, that you will switch it up depending on what kind of battle healer you're trying to be. If you're trying to be more superpower focused battle healing, use escalating might, of course. If you're trying to be more weapon-based, precision-based battle healing, you can definitely use relentless precision. Entirely on you, so definitely be careful of that option. Now, in terms of our back, generally speaking, for pure healers and one of the variants of EOG spam healers, you would definitely want to go ahead and pop in accelerated flux. Flux is our shield for electricity, so the 10% cooldown reduction on it does add up, especially in content and elite content in particular over time. So it's definitely something you want to go ahead and put in your back. Now let's say if you are battle healing for whatever reason, then you can go ahead and pop in something like Berserk. Berserk is something that's definitely good there. But you may be able to do Accelerate Lightning. Depending on if you're a pure healer and use Biocap, you could make the argument to use Accelerated Biocap, because 10% will actually take more time off of Biocap, which is a very good strong heal that also has a safety net built into it. It's pretty much like the Page Destiny, but not being an artifact. Over Accelerated Flux, but most case scenarios, Accelerated Flux will pretty much take the cake. So I would pick Accelerated Flux. Now when it comes to the chest piece, we're gonna go ahead and pretty much pick power efficiency for most case scenarios. Pure healing and EOG spam healing, this is perfect for it. Now if you're an EOG spam healer and let's say your Scrap of Soul Cloak's not leveled up to 200, where you get the extra 7% supercharge restored back to you whenever you use a supercharge, you can definitely put an extended supercharge here, which gives you 5%, so 2% less. It's pretty much one tick and for your supercharge on the little EOG. It's the difference of it. But you can definitely use extended supercharge for the EOG spam if your Scrabble Soul Cloak is not up to par. But if it is, and for pure healing, definitely use power efficiency. If you are battle healing, then hey, penetrating strikes. You pretty much don't have all DPS stuff for battle healing. Now in terms of our legs, we're not going to really use anything from the legs. You can make the argument using restorative attract if you are trying to go for more of a all-in-one role. So you're trying to be the tank, the troll, the healer, and the DPS all at the same time. Or even trying to tank stuff as a healer, which is possible. It's extremely hard, but it is possible nonetheless, depending on the content. You won't be able to tank everything, but you can tank a good chunk of stuff actually. I do it quite often. But you can use restorative attract there to go ahead and make sure as you're tanking, get a little health back for that. If not, you can definitely use restorative overcharge. Overcharge ability is similar to Tesla Blast. It does a little bit less damage than Tesla Blast does, but it has a build-up secondary effect, which is able to not only damage nearby enemies in an AoE explosion, but also heal nearby allies as well. For that reason, I'll probably stick for most case scenarios with restorative overcharge, even though once again it doesn't really matter. Okay. Now in terms of our hands, yes, regenerative shielding does not scale with the healing that it does give, but it is nice to have nonetheless. So I would generally pick that for a lot of pure healing builds and the variant of the EOG spam. But in terms of battle healing, once again, we're gonna pick more damage related stuff, which is max damage here. Okay. And then for our feet is generally gonna be the Tumbling Master. Most people use it, most people love it. Make your dodge not vulnerable to interrupt, allow you to dodge more back to back, and have a longer dodge. So it's just good all around to have. It's very nice to have. Now I do know when healers used to use explosive block back in the day, and some even do to this day as well. You're more than welcome to use it, but no real point. And at least the state of the game how it is right now. Depending on the battle healer you could use dashing combos if you are using super speed movement, but most stuff I would even just stay with Tumbling Master. Okay, it's gonna be the way to go. Now when it comes to the trinket setup, my trinkets pretty much stay the same for everything besides battle healing, which I can show you those as well. Okay, I like to have a tier 3 pet, an orbital, a supply drop, and a backup. I don't see the point in having a buff trinket for healing, just because how healing is for me. It's pretty easy for me, and I don't ever see the need to ever pop this out, just because the restoration is nice, and you definitely don't have to hit so many abilities to keep everyone full health. But the way I am, even before I had full elite gear, when I was 322 gear and 323 gear mix, I was perfectly fine. One ability healed one person up to full or very close to full. There was no need for this trinket yet again. I honestly think they probably need to revamp the trinket to give you some dominance so it is more usable and at capacity, so at least you can get your shield increased by it. So it will make you actually want to use it instead of just picking all your base stuff in a tier 3 pet. Now if you are battle healing, I would recommend use the DPS buff trinket, and for precision battle healing, use OMAC trinket with a tier 3 pet. You can clip all that together pretty easily, especially since your healing abilities, if you don't know, they clip each other because they do take priority over a lot of other animations, okay? And then you can always keep the backup in. I like to keep a backup in over the orbital and supply drop, just because the backup doesn't have any kind of artifact attached with it. When it comes to the orbital, you have Decking Scepter, so I know pretty much when I use the backup, I'll switch out the backup for, let's say, my orbital or my supply drop. And supply drop's artifact is the Philosopher's Stone. These buff it and increase, certain aspects of these respective trinkets. So I know when I use the backup, I can switch to one, hurry up and switch to Decking Scepter, use the orbital. Then I know it's on cooldown, so I switch to Philosopher's Stone and the supply drop, and then I know that's on cooldown, and then I can switch back to the backup. That's if you want to get real fancy with it, especially if you are battle healing. That is something to consider to do. But in general case situations, especially in elite content, I recommend you do not switch that stuff out, because it will take precious time that can result in someone's life ending. So I recommend that you just go ahead and keep these 4 artifacts in for both pure healing and EOG spam healing, okay? Now, when it comes to artifacts, generally speaking, purple healing ray is probably the best thing for electricity. One, it makes your group heal able to heal over time, which is electricity's one and pretty much only weakness, is a good heal over time for the group. That's pretty much gonna take priority. If you are wanting to stay pure healer, I'll recommend that you then, after purple healing ray as number 1, you then want to have Page Destiny as number 2, and then your 3rd slot should be transformation card. If you're just doing pure healing, you could make an argument for strategist card for a heal over time as well, so that's definitely something to consider. But most general case situations, you'll see a nice hefty benefit from transformation card. You're not spamming your abilities like that as much, and you're able just to heal everybody a lot more efficiently with less powers used overall. Now, in terms of a EOG spam healer, as you see, you pretty much already know setup. Purple healing ray is going to be pretty much a mandatory. Eye of Gemini is going to be mandatory for the EOG, because this is EOG. That's what it stands for, Eye of Gemini. And Scrapple Soul Cloak, so you can sustain that Eye of Gemini by yourself. Even if you have an extra EOG spam healer in the group, I'll still recommend that you keep the Scrapple Soul Cloak on. If you notice that your bar is pretty much full of Supercharge, you could swap it off once again for Transformation card or even Page of Destiny. Now, if you are in elite content, I will recommend that you probably use Page of Destiny over the Transformation card if you're trying to be on the more safe side of things and heal more. But if you are trying to do more, like let's say in elite content, you notice that the healing's being phenomenal, you just want to put a little bit of extra damage out there to get this over with a little bit sooner, then go ahead and put in a transformation card, because your weapon text will now take the added damage to it, and your healing will get the added damage to the added healing to that. My apologies, y'all. So in terms of artifacts, when we rank them, I recommend that purple healing ray becomes number 1. Honestly, for the state of the game now, EOG spam is so good, and you really don't need to ever be a pure healer. Even especially with the one variant that I do have for EOG spam, or the older EOG spam loadout. So I recommend purple healing ray, Eye of Gemini as number 2. Number 3, I would recommend Scrapple Soul Cloak. But let's say you ain't got that much artifacts to work with, it's better off if you have Page of Destiny. If you're just trying to be a pure healer, let's say you're not able to get the artifacts up as high, Page of Destiny will allow you to take advantage at a lower level, as opposed to something like Scrapple Soul Cloak. Scrapple Soul Cloak does help, but it's not as powerful as it is unless it's pretty much at 160 or 200. Yes, the other variants like 80, 120 and stuff like that, they are beneficial, but it pretty much don't use them until you at least get like 160 or something, okay? 200 is definitely preferable, just because you get the extra 7% back whenever you use the Supercharge. So once again, purple healing ray number 1, Eye of Gemini number 2, Page of Destiny you make the argument for number 3, and Transformation card could be number 4, but you can argue it actually for number 3 slot as well. I would probably put it in my number 4, but you can definitely make a nice argument for number 3 slot, okay? Especially since you use the transformation card anyways for your damage side on all damage builds, pretty much standard and mandatory there. So yeah, and then strategist card for number 5. And yeah, I cannot stand, where is it at? I don't even know if I still have it. Or before I cannot stand this. Do not level this up under any circumstances, please, y'all. It's horrible. The healing that you would get, like your priority heal being so much more powerful, you do that like I easily do that same thing now without this being even in my loadout or rotation of things. Okay. Now Clarion and also Demon Fang are two other artifacts that the healers can benefit, especially like a battle healer. And I do not necessarily recommend. I will put these at the bottom too, so Clarion and then Demon Fang at the very bottom. And I only do that because, generally speaking, battle healing can be fun and beneficial, right? But in my opinion, you shouldn't go battle heal until and only after you know actually to heal normally, either through pure healing or EOG spam. Once you got that down and mastered, even able to solo like the latest raise with the Source Wall Elite, if you're able to solo that by yourself, then I feel like you're probably ready to go ahead and start battle healing, because you're skilled enough to know how to get the timing down, what you should be using, what you shouldn't be using, etc. And that will allow you to carry over into battle healing, so you're still able to heal the group, also do a nice amount of damage. Okay, so that's why I choose those near the end. Now if you want to just all collectively, let's say you're just good as could be, then I'll still recommend Purple Ray number 1, number 2 I Gemini, number 3 Transformation Card, just because it helps on both roles. Number 4 Clarion, number 5 Scrabble Soul Cloak, number 6 Demon Fang, and number 7 Strategy Card. Yeah. Did I put Page Destiny in there? I think I did. Yeah. Page Destiny should be after Clarion. Yeah. But hopefully I did. But yeah, that is that right there. If you want to see my restoration, I'm at 103,027 restoration. I have about 6,807 dominance. As you see, my CR is 378. I'm full elite gear. You can see my power, my health, my defense, all that good stuff. Now, let's go over and hop into allies. Allies, generally speaking, I like to use crypto because most times you're fighting bosses and whatnot. I only really use the allies during bosses, so keep that in mind. For general use cases, I would say Batman Who Laughs, Luck of the Draw, pretty much covers pretty much all builds, so it's just good all around. Cyborg, using all your base support ability, just for extra power regeneration, which definitely keeps us, whether we have a troll or not, in good standing. Okay, as long as we have power, we're able to heal, out of control. Well, as long as we have powers and are free of control effects, we're able to heal. So power is more critical in that capacity because it allows you to break free of control effects. So hey, definitely take consideration. This will cover pure healing builds, EOG spam healing. The only thing it doesn't cover is battle healing. And battle healing, I will make the argument to use Cloak of Ensnare instead of Cyborg here, keeping Batman Who Laughs. Okay, keeping crypto, because crypto's the #1 single target damage, especially for bosses. If you want House of Legends bot, that's the runner up. You can use a nice Flashpoint Batman, it will be good. Like Luthor's good for AoE boss damage, and Superman's good for AoE non-bosses, so like hallway ads and stuff like that. You can definitely use Death Metal Batman for a nice AoE as well. So those are some good things to do. My homeboy over here, cough cough, man, cough cough. This man here,
yeah, cough cough.
But so in terms of our spec, for weapons, I recommend that you use brawling for most healing situations, even EOG spamming and battle healing. You're more than welcome to use dual wield if you want more single target damage, but brawling I feel like gives you a nice balance of quickness, damage, and it's the best AoE damage in the game, mind you, and just overall usability. It's very easy to use because you just tap hold on your range button and call it a day. Okay, you're more than welcome to use dual wield with the flurry shot with mastery combo. You can circle back to hand blasters, just doing the solar flame or pulse beam or even the meteor blast. You could go ahead and do, what is it, the rifle mortar. That's pretty good. Most times you can do the staff into the rifle mortar, or you could just go ahead and do dual pistols. Don't expect anything but the first one, because all you're gonna do is just hold triangle. That's it. You can use even the bow, do the flurry shot that way, or even the trick shots with the storm arrow. Those are all viable options. It's really on your preference at that point. I even see people do martial arts and pretty much do the shuriken storm and hand shuriken that way, just slowly through martial arts. So it's entirely on you. I recommend that you go ahead and use brawling or overall basis. If you don't want to do weapon mastery, I definitely recommend that you use hand blasters, but once again, it's on you. Okay. In terms of your movement, I believe Super Speed is the best movement in the game, just because how it is. So it is what it is. Always get your speed force, and for healing, I would recommend that you get your breakout mastery, Spec everything over here, so you're able to get all the resistances and recoveries possible. Because once again, you need to be out of control effects to heal. The only thing you can hit in control effects maybe a supercharge or your shield if you have one in your loadout, but if you don't, then your team is pretty much screwed because you are getting controlled. Now for your supercharges, once again, EOG spamming, get your speed drain, get your metabolic boost. You could use dash attack, but I recommend that you do not use it, only because it does launch you forward. So if you not use let's say your priority heal or something like that to cancel out of that animation to launch you forward, then it could put you in some unfortunate situations sometimes and mess up with the placement of your green circle. For iconic powers, you do not need all this. Amazon Deflection is something that you could use in certain elite scenarios, but you will not need it. Harlot Shield is once again a very elite scenario. Pheromone Bloom, recommend for EOG spamming or just all around hybrid build. Word of Power is nice if you are trying to be a controller as well as healer, or let's say you don't have a controller in group, controller's not doing well, power out, whatever the case may be. Some of the sort like that is real nice. Neo Venom Boost is something that you could use along with Circuit Breaker to cycle back and forth between those two 5,000 supercharge costs or 50% supercharges. If you use the Quizlet, Scrap the Soul Cloak, and the Eye of Gemini all together, you will generate enough supercharge to actually sustain using the Neo Venom Boost and Circuit Breaker back and forth if you're trying to do more battle healing that way. So definitely take that in consideration and keep that as a little side note there. Super Strength I like to have, if you have the excess skill points, I would say over 500 or over 400 even with healing. You can go ahead and spec into Super Strength. It will help your weapon damage slightly. It's barely noticeable, so don't really get it thinking that it's going to change some drastic number. It's not, so keep that in mind. In terms of our stat points, we're going to go super power focus pretty much in all case scenarios. Get our critical healing chance and magnitude, all case scenarios. Pretty much dump everything into restoration for pure healing and EOG spamming healing. Then once you've dumped everything in restoration, I recommend that you go ahead and at least put one into precision, might and power, health, dominance, and vitalization. At least one, so you get the base stat increase from it. Now if you are doing a more battle healing spec, I recommend that you get your critical healing chance and critical attack chance, critical attack damage, and critical healing magnitude. Get all your crit stuff first, then pretty much you can either do an even split between precision and restoration, or might and power and restoration, and then dump a little bit into precision. I'll show you a couple builds and a couple of variations of it there. Okay, but let's say if you're just trying to do pure healing, dump everything to dump everything to restoration. Then once you're done with that, dump everything to mind power. Okay. Now, in terms of our loadout, this is a good loadout for your pure healing. Okay, I want to go ahead and specify that pure healing loadout is this: Galvanize, Bioelectric Surge, Recover, Biocapacitor, Flux, and Arc Lightning. Now, arc lightning is subject to change. You can definitely, if you are more bunched up in the group, you can definitely use electrogenesis because then it'll be more beneficial there. And I recommend, or want to give a little DC Universe developer idea, okay? Please make electrogenesis go to 3 people and yourself, not just you and one other person. Make it like a group heal or an alert heal, okay? Make it go to 3 different people. You can lower the amount that it heals. Just please make it go to 3 people. It'll make it so much better, so much more usable, and actually give us a dilemma on what to use in our loadouts. But the way it is right now, pretty much don't use it unless you are actually on top of one another, okay? Arc lightning is going to be the better way to go. Now, if you want to go ahead and put in that group transducer for that shield, the best shield in the game, mind you, then definitely go ahead and pop it over arc lightning, okay? Apologies, y'all. A little bit of amber alert going on. I'm about to read that here in a sec. But for our pure healing build, as you see, that's going to be our loadout. For our artifacts for pure healing, once again, let's go over them just so we're all on the same page. We're going to do Purple Healing Ray, Page of Destiny, and Transformation Card are the best setup I have came across and have experience with when it comes to just doing a pure healing, no supercharges and stuff like that build. Now, you can make a little variation of this and do sometime, an EOG green circle out there here and there. You have the Purple Healing Ray, Page Destiny, and Eye of Gemini. And you can even keep your group transducer in the mix, just get a little bit more supercharge back from it. If not, you can then put in Pheromone Bloom or Metabolic Boost for just the occasional Eye of Gemini green circle. Okay, that's definitely a nice hybrid build that you could use if you're not trying to just do pure healing. All right. Now, in terms of our EOG spamming, though, as you know, we're gonna go back to the Purple Healing Ray, Eye of Gemini, Scrap of Soul Cloak, and for our loadout, we're actually gonna keep Galvanized, Bioelectric Surge, and Recover, and we're gonna put in Metabolic Boost, Speed Drain, and Pheromone Bloom. Now it's gonna be a pretty much even split. You have 3 healing abilities and 3 supercharges. Now, with that being said, there's some nice combos that you can do for healing to make this most effective. Because of the Affinity Mods, I can use my priority heal first to reduce the power cost, so definitely keep that in mind and consideration. So you can always use priority heal, then use Galvanize. Make it quick, clip the animation so it just looks like that right there. You hit both still and your power is going to be fine. I recommend that you pretty much always use your priority heal before you use another ability. Just make sure everyone is up and having a nice heal across the whole group. Now, sometimes you will be required, if the group's taking a lot of damage, to hit your priority heal after the fact as well. That's also another useful combo to use. So you're not just sitting here spamming. All right, spamming can sometimes lead you to promised land, in all honesty, but sometimes it can mess you up because you're waiting on cooldowns to other abilities that now cost your team, the wipe, their lives, whatever you want to put it as. Okay, so priority heal, Galvanize, back to priority heal is another good one. Use priority heal to recover. Let's say especially Galvanize is a short range heal, pretty short range. Okay, so let's say if they're across the map, whatnot, definitely use your priority heal to recover, back to your priority heal. Pretty much the same exact way as you do Galvanize. You could just sit here and spam your priority heal, but I'm letting you know right now that is not saving your tank. A lot of times you have to use priority heal, recover, priority heal, stuff like that. Okay, use it in a combo sequence. It will better help and save your group as opposed to just spamming your priority heal over and over and over again. Definitely, if you can get your Eye Gemini up to 200, just so for the extra dominance and restoration, helps tremendously, especially in groups that struggle either with mechanics or struggle with taking so much damage. Okay, that is something that will help a lot. Now, if you can't get your Gemini up to 200, it's definitely going to be a-okay with being at 160. But I will say, at a first-hand account, the 5% health and the 5% restoration in terms of EOG spamming is phenomenal, and has saved me countless times in doing the Source Wall Elite raid. At least I've even had to solo heal it, and that 5% almost carried me on a couple of the parts, because you saw it got a little close, okay, but we were able to get through. Now, a variation of the EOG spam, you're not gonna be able to spam as much, just because with 3 superchargers, you pretty much wait for everything to be whatever supercharge you hit. Let's say you hit Pheromone Bloom here, right? You wait for this to be 1/3 of the way done in its cooldown. So about where you see my triangle at, that little line, or speed drain, you see a little line next to the square, pretty much where you see a match up to the little icon on the bottom right hand corner of your loadout. Once it gets to that point, use your next supercharge to pop another EOG out. A lot of times you can time it just perfectly to where it looks like you have the EOG circle out and you just pop another one, but you're getting the timing so crisp, because timing is everything when it comes to electricity, okay? Timing is absolutely everything when it comes to electricity. Electricity runs on just burst healing. Mind you, it's not healing over time like you have the luxury with nature. Sometimes you have luxury depending on what it is with the water. Even Celestial got some nice healing over time that it can implement in. And sorcery with that circle protection is a nice heal over time as well. Electricity, on the other hand, you slack in there, so you just got to be able to time everything out, okay? It's a little bit of a downfall that can come as a blessing, because it will at least get you better with your timing, okay? It will train you and condition you. Now, for that loadout variation, you could just go ahead and put Flux and replace a metabolic boost, so you now have 4 good healing abilities to go ahead and utilize. And use Flux, especially if you're not if you don't feel comfortable with the group, or you feel like there's going to be parts where the group take too much damage that you're not able to heal, definitely pop in a Flux to help mitigate a lot of that damage. If you are solo healing, I recommend you use this version of EOG spam loadout. Yes, you won't be able to have a green ring up 24/7, 7 days a week, but you will make up for it with the survivability and the overall survival of your group, okay? Now, I only recommend that you go ahead and put 3 supercharges in if you have a second healer with you. If you do not have a second healer with you, please make the smart decision to put in your shield, so you only have 2 supercharges that you're cycling back and forth on, because it will cost your group their lives, okay? Sometimes you may have to go for another pickup, because you know DPS are trying to do their DPS thing. Sometimes people get in the wrong areas, whatever the case may be. Just know it's all on you, and you don't have the luxury of relying on the other healer to possibly have a shield, relying on the controller to have a shield, whatever. So definitely put in your shield, keep everyone safe, okay? Now, when it comes to battle healing, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can wear healer gear and just go into the damage roll, okay? Have the good, you know, mods going, so max damage, tumbling master. Here you have penetrating strikes from the chest. I don't know where it's at right now. The back, berserker's fine. The neck, you can use relentless precision. I like to be a more precision based battle heal. You can make it work with might, but precision is just an easier way to go about it. Head socket, I recommend circuit breaker, and weapons blast adapter, okay? Artifacts, once again, transformation card, clarion, and you could use strategist card, especially for doing damage, since you will get them damage over time procs as well. If not, you can definitely be more than welcome to go ahead and pop in Demon Fang. Demon Fang makes a wonderful combination and Trinity for these three with the Clarion and Transmission card. Okay, your allies are pretty much going to be the exact same. Oops, why is that like that? Yeah, but like I said, you have Luck of the Draw, Cloak of a Snare from Batman Who Laughs and Death Metal Batman respectively. Cyborg, which is all around good, AoE combat ally to have. You can definitely go ahead and use what I said before. Superman is the best one when it comes to non-boss combatants, enemies. Lex Luthor is a good and the best AoE for boss enemies. Okay, I want to make that distinction very clear. And for the loadout, we're going to use Galvanize, Bioelectric Surge, Electro Burst, which is it's one of the hardest hitting burst powers that electricity has to offer, and also does healing as well. Okay, so it's fantastic, but just know it does have a very short range, so you pretty much gotta be on top of them. Okay, it's like Whirling Dervish range. Arc Lightning, it's not only a great damage ability, but a great healing ability when you're able to jump in between everyone. Wired, you already know, if we have the Clarion, you pretty much gotta have Wired in the mix. And Flux just as a saving grace. Okay, so just in case if we're not healing enough from the Clarion and from Galvanize, Bioelectric Surge, Electro Burst, Arc Lightning, if we're not doing enough healing with these abilities here, go ahead and pop the Flux so you can catch up when you're healing. All right, in terms of spec, like I said, it's pretty much going to be the exact same. Get your Brawling to Shuriken Storm there, or whatever weapon you feel like using. Get your Speed Force, still get your breakouts, because you're gonna definitely need to be more attentive now than ever, because you're still healer, so the group still depends on you to get them through it. In terms of iconic, once again, you could do a nice, interesting build with Neon Venom Circuit Breaker, but that's entirely on you. I recommend that you just get Super Strength and keep it pushing. Stat powers, like I said, super powered, get all your crits for both damage and your healing, and make a pretty even split between precision and restoration, and pretty much dump everything else into might. If you have higher skill points than me, then I'll say pretty much do 100 into might and power, and then go back into precision and restoration. Now, if you just want to do more here, you could just do an even split down the middle when it comes to restoration and precision, but I recommend that you still at least get a nice chunk on the might and power. One, because your power is a little bit lower from how you're using your abilities, and two, well, unless you use Demon Fang, and two, you don't have Cyborg as a support ally to boost up your power regeneration. Okay, so you could be falling short and cost the group their lives because you don't have enough power, pretty much. And the loadout's pretty self-explanatory. You're still gonna use Galvanize and Bioelectric Surge like normal. Electro Burst is something that you can implement into, in between weapon combos. I like to clip Arc Lightning into Wired and pretty much keep that going. Do weapon combos and just keep clipping back and forth between Electro Burst and Arc Lightning. Okay, pop the shield whenever you need to, or if you want to get a slight damage increase just based on how Clarion and Demon Fang work. So keep that in consideration. Now, another way you can do a battle heal is go pretty much all DPS gear, but utilize this DPS gear in healer role. Now, this will give you more stats. I like the DPS stats. You have 78,506 precision, 115,274 might, and only 81,019 restoration. Now, that is completely different when you look at the other side of things. Yeah. Okay. With the other side of things, it will pretty much take away some precision if you're back in your healer gear. Take away some precision for you and give you a slightly more restoration just on how this is. Now you can get more or less restoration, all that depending on your artifacts. Okay, so keep that in mind. And I do have my DPS ring, so I am missing some resto and power there. Yeah, that should be the only thing. Yep. But you can definitely go in the DPS gear, get that little bit extra precision so you're able to deal out a nice chunk of damage. Now this, me doing either way has put me close to the top of the leaderboard several different times. And on top of the leaderboard for both doing it with the DPS gear on and doing it with the healer gear on. So this can do some, you know, some nice damage pretty much, okay? Now, I like to do, if I have the DPS gear on, just go ahead and commit to it. Just do Galvanize, Electrogenesis. These are going to pretty much do a nice heal over time for you. Wired, especially with the Clarion, so going to do some healing for you with the Arc Lightning as well, of course. Do a little burst heal for you if the healing over time is not doing enough, okay? So Wired and Arc Lightning are going to get your burst heals going. Flux, if you need it to catch up on the healing. And Circuit Breaker to make everything just go nicely together, do a lot more damage, okay? Now, you can definitely go ahead and pop in that Neo Venom if you want. Take out the Flux, but I recommend that you definitely keep everything in a safe to semi-safe environment. At least let everyone know that, hey, you're battle healing, or hey, I'm not spec'd really to heal like that right now, so y'all better drink y'all soda. In terms of specs, pretty much same. Brawling's gonna be the same. If you want to use dual wield, that's fine too. You don't have to spec all this stuff like how I did. I'm doing a lot of this for testing purposes. So Speed Force, get your knockbacks and whatnot. Speed Drain if you want to use it instead of Circuit Breaker for whatever reason. Now this is focused, but it shouldn't be. It should be super powered still. I don't know why that is messed up. I'm gonna have to redo that. But if you are wearing the DPS gear, once again, I say you might as well commit. Spec all your criticals, both attack and healing, and get a nice, pretty much the majority of your skill points into precision. At least get 100 into restoration to cover your bases there and get a nice 10%. Okay. Dump a nice chunk into my power too, so you're definitely not slacking in terms of your power pool, which your power pool, the bigger your power pool is, the better your power regeneration will be, okay? And then, you know, go ahead and spec the one skill point into Vite, Dominance, and Health to help out with those stats and your abilities respectively, okay? Or power generation. Now, you kind of already saw, once again, the loadout, and the loadout will still work pretty much similar to how it did for the other Battlefield loadout. You can use Arc Lightning, Electrogenesis, clip those together, and use Galvanize to Electrogenesis, clip those together, and then use Arc Lightning to Wire to clip together, and just in between each one. Let's go ahead and put your healing abilities back, do your damage abilities that also heal for you, and you can just in between each weapon combo cycle back and forth, pop a shield where need be, and just keep it pushing. All right. Now you can kind of see another thing that's also beneficial, my Trinket Setup. Now OMAC Trinket will give you 5% weapon attack chance, which will help you there. Yep, 5% weapon attack chance, give you some base health increase and a bit of dodge, so it does help you there, being more evasive and more, you know, tanky, while also increasing your potential weapon damage. I like to have tier 3 pet with the DPS buff Trinket because we are trying to do as much damage as possible while in the healer role, okay? Once again, do the backup so then you can time the cooldowns. Once you use backup, switch to the orbital. Then, once you use orbital, switch to supply drop. once you slide drop, switch back to backup. Okay, it's all right there, so you just all you have to do is click. It's better if you have all your stuff up here, so you can just swap with the orbital and decking scepter. Bam, bam. Then once you're done using it, you can swap right back. Okay. Now there's a little bit of artifact swapping and some, you know, trinket swapping too, but it does help at least on the scoreboard. Okay. And help your overall team too, because you're doing, you know, enough damage to support it. Don't mind my dog in the background. But look, I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go. This video is insanely long. Say what's with my boy Article. Make sure you check out his YouTube as well. Pretty sure if you want, you can go ahead and put it in the chat real quick. But look, y'all be safe, y'all be easy. Take care. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Grow to 1,000 subs. Want to make sure you put that. There you go. Coastally UYT for YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to him as well. Check out his videos, man. He posts a lot of good Fortnite videos, some DC gameplay, and a whole bunch of other stuff, man. Check him out. Without further ado, y'all be safe, y'all be easy. Shalom.